This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning everybody. How are we all doing on this very cool and chilly morning in Djuma in the Sabi Sands? Is 13 degrees Celsius, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a beautiful, splendid, clear day. There is no mist, and but it's cold, it's nice. My name is Steve Falconbridge, and I'm joined on camera by Senzo Keys, and we are headed out on safari this morning to find you all sorts of wonders. So please, as you know, send through your questions, #SafariLive, follow us on YouTube stream, whichever platform you so desire, and let us know what you'd like to see. We're going to head south. We're going to go check the watering holes, see what has transpired in the night. Okay, jump on board. You need a blanket, possibly a hot water bottle. It is nice and fresh, but enthusiasm always warms the heart. I've got a little bit of coffee packed away, so make sure you bring a little cup as well so we can share it amongst ourselves in a little while. I'm not the only one on safari this morning. Mr. James Hendry will be joining me in one of the vehicles. Taylor McCurdy is wearing shorts and is on foot, and who knows where either of them will be going. But I'm sure they'll be updating you very shortly. Lots of hyena activity in the night. Tracks all over the place. I have a strong feeling that Thandi might have lost her meat. There was a hyena about an hour and a half ago in Vuatila Dam, busy attacking the lights and the cameras and all sorts of things. But we're going to continue on down the road, and James is out and he would like to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. It's quite cold over here. They told us it was 13 degrees Celsius today. That's rubbish. I think it's no more than 9, which is around about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. My name's James Hendry. And on camera today we've got Sebastian Rombi. He's also quite cold. He has got a sheepskin-lined jacket, however, which is a good thing to be wearing today. Our plan this morning is to head down towards where we watched Thandi kill yesterday. Yes, that's what I said. If you weren't on yesterday afternoon safari, shame upon you. We watched Thandi kill a nyala. It was really quite spectacular. And so we're going to go and see if she did manage to keep her kill. I suspect, rather like Steve has told you, that she has not. Please send your question through to #SafariLive, of course, on Twitter. Otherwise, you may talk to us on the chat stream on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you throughout the course of the next 3 hours. Here we go. Those were some impala to begin with. They are not feeling particularly frolicsome this morning, probably on account of the fact that there's been a lot of hyena activity around here. Probably the odd leopard wandering past during the night, and they're all just rather relieved to have got through yet another 10 hours or 12 hours of darkness unscathed. I'll probably head down to the waterhole. Well, yes, Cobalt, you're absolutely right. It was much warmer in the Cayman Islands than it is here. Not as warm as it gets here in the summer, though. We do complain a lot about the cold here, but, I mean, look, it's because we're out in a moving car. And, for example, here, where we are going to drive now, is probably, I'd say, a good 3 degrees colder than it is up at the camp, just because of the slope. And if you go all the way down to Twin Dams, which is the very southern part of Djuma, it'd be even colder than it is. I'm going to buy a cheapo thermometer and do some measurements sometime soon. Alrighty, we're going across the dam here and hopefully towards Thandi's kill.
Concur, James. I think buying a thermometer is a sterling idea, and that the wildebeest are all staring and nodding in agreeance too. Hello. What a wonderful start to the safari. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Fergus. And then, of course, Herbie is out here, keeping us nice and safe. Now, I was looking at all the tweets from all of you last night about the hyenas being around the camera, and one of the things I noticed was one of them was holding quite a large chunk of flesh. Now, I wonder if they haven't already gone and raided Thandi and stolen her kill. That was a huge meal for her. Whether she would have been able to have taken it up a tree with just feeding on it once, I'm not so certain. It's a little bit difficult to sort of say. She definitely struggled to take down that prey. But, well, eventually she got it. I went back and had a little watch. It was very impressive. Of a leopard of her size bringing down something quite so large. Now, that's exciting because in a couple of months' time, soon the wildebeest will be dropping their calves, and then if Thandi can handle a sub-adult Nyala bull, then a young wildebeest calf is going to be absolutely no problem. And especially with Tlalamba growing, that might be what she's going to have to look for, is something a little bit larger than a Deka or a Steenbok or even an Impala. Very nice. Now, we haven't really decided what we're doing this morning. We're just going to sort of go out on a bit of a walk and... excuse me. Now we can begin the safari with the introduction sneeze that I normally do. I feel like it happens all the time. How many times do I sneeze on a game drive? Far too many. Anyways, and I think we're going to head in the direction of Treehouse Dam to begin with, and then do a loop around. So we'll let James go in and see if he can have a bit of luck, see if he can pick up on Thandi's tracks, although I think it might be difficult. Excuse me. Woo! Just letting all the animals know we're starting the bushwalk and we're on our way. But I think he's going to have a bit of trouble deciphering between the hyena footprints and Thandi's footprints. But luckily, James knows all her favourite secret hidey holes and her favourite routes to walk. So I don't think he'll have any problem. He's so far proven to be the only guide that has successfully been able to find Thandi almost every single day. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I saw Steve driving down around the pan. I wonder which direction he's headed in.
Yes, I think I'm going into the similar direction towards Treehouse Dam. But in the road, there would have been a roadblock at some point last night. An enormous animal was lying down over here. Here is the back feet were. Beautiful, fresh tracks of a back foot right there. The back leg, bum, big bottom, really big bottom over here. And here is the back, all the way down, some beautiful sort of skin marks over here, all the way to here, and then here is the action of the head. The head was on the ground and moving, and there's the horn mark over there. Two of them. This was possibly a female rhinoceros, and over there the youngster. Tracks are much smaller, but look at the size of that. Oh, that's enormous. Enormous, lying down in the road, and after their slumber they would have got off and gone who knows where. Well, they're up and at 'em, we're up and at 'em. Beautiful to be out here and to be moving around. I really hate driving over tracks like that because they're so perfect. I have to though. It's in the road, what can you do? Sorry, tracks. So Taylor says she's going to head down towards Treehouse Dam. Well, we're gonna check the dams, but also we're communicating with them about tracks. Who knows what's been moving around in the night? Who knows? Who knows? It could be anything. And we drive quite slowly as well, purely because Senzo gets very cold on the back if I don't drive too slowly. Hey, Senz. He's looking at me with a cheeky little smile. It's a bit easier in the front. You've got kind of like this windbreak to this point. Romit, two layers of gloves. The fingerless and the finger gloves. And then I have got a thermal vest. A short sleeve, I'm not undoing this because that's just going to let all the heat out. A short sleeve fleece vest, a shirt, long sleeve shirt, a jacket, this jacket, and then this big down jacket, a beanie on top of my hat. So I lost count at glove number 2. But it's okay. I'm defrosting. I'm feeling okay. We were out a bit earlier doing some tests, so this is nice. This is actually quite warm. 9 layers, and we haven't even spoken about the legs. It's nice though. This is not that cold, but I'm thinking of revisiting the hot water bottle option tomorrow morning. Definitely. Definitely. This has been the coldest morning, in my opinion. Oh, you got a pink fluffy one. Thanks, Lou. I've got a very nice one that my granny knitted for me when I was a little boy, with a nice little cover on the outside, and it's red because I liked red and my brother liked blue, and that's how we differentiated between who owned what. And I've still got it. Very, very old. I think the water bottle's been replaced, but the covering is still the same. You know that large sort of crochet, sort of stitching, knitting that grannies do around.
That is all that is left, I'm afraid, of Tundi's kill. 2 bone shards, a little bit of tail, and some, yes, some intestine. That's it. Now, unless she's dragged it off and put it under a bush somewhere here, somewhere that we can't see it, I think our suspicions that the hyenas have stolen the kill are being borne out by the evidence that we can see on the ground here. So we'll continue to we'll do a couple of circles around and see if we can't pick up where she's gone. No. Also, I mean, it's possible that they're lurking not far from here. So we'll continue to try and find Tundi. And I'm sure a number of you might be worried about whether or not little Tlalamba would have survived the ordeal of meeting the hyenas last night. But I think you'll find that she's very experienced these days. Yeah, Puma, you say the hyena on the dam cam all had fat bellies. I'm 99% sure that what happened here was they came across the kill, and they probably found it because she opened the belly. And I don't know if you were on drive with us earlier on yesterday, but as she opened up the belly, yeah, the hyena tracks all over here. As she opened up the belly, I thought to myself, yeah, that's going to be it now. They're going to come in. And so they did. Well, they would have got some of it, Lara Moore. I'm not sure if they got their fill entirely, but certainly they would have done pretty well. Tundi had a good feed before she went to fetch Tlalamba, and then Tlalamba got stuck in around about sort of 5:15, just before we left. They could be quite close by, but I guess if those hyenas came in and tore it apart, I suspect she'll go back to where she likes to be, which is sort of more centrally and around the little riverbed at the centre of the reserve. So that's where we will head ourselves. It was tremendous yesterday. So we are going to go off to the middle of the reserve while Taylor tries to catch the sun like a hornbill.
Like a hornbill? I'm actually just... no, that's dangerous. I'm going to end up tumbling down. I just climbed up my favourite termite mound. I was here the other afternoon because I can actually see the sun rising from here. Up Fergus comes, so I will go and stand here in the corner. We haven't been able to see the sun rise just yet. But look, when you climb up just a little bit higher, you start to see over all the trees. And now something has terrified the francolins. There was a dove that just flew over. It may have been them. They may have got confused and thought it was something else. I wouldn't put it past those Franklins. And then, of course, the other reason why we come up here is because you can see so much. And we obviously want to find animals, don't we? So, out come the binoculars and let the scanning begin. Let's see what we can spot. Checking Philemon's cut line. The wildebeest are following us this morning, which is quite bizarre. I can hear them snorting, and they sound like they're getting closer and closer. I'm just checking down in these drainage systems. Divovo said something about buffalo, so best we keep an eye out while we're on bushwalk. We haven't seen any signs, any tracks, any dung just yet. No, doesn't look like there's anything in the valley, not even a herd of elephants or even an elephant bull. Can you hear those wildebeest? No, that's not the sound they make. They go... That's the wonderful sound that a wildebeest makes. Maybe you got me confused there for a second for a wildebeest. So, nothing to report. But I think we're still going to head in the direction of Treehouse Dam to go and have a look, because Herbie says if it's a herd of buffalo, he would quite like to see them. It's been a long time since any of us have seen a group of buffalo. So, other than the one Duggar boy that likes to live around down here in the drainage line, that's actually who I was checking for. Anyways, Steve has now also got a view of the sun.
Yes, we do, the sun. Beautiful moment to stop in the morning and to just pay witness to the day that is about to come upon us. Are we happy with yesterday? If we're not, well, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to change? Are we going to get stuck in the same routine, make the same mistakes, or are we going to move forward? The past is gone, ladies and gentlemen. All there is the moment we live in, this moment right now. So spend a moment with that sunrise. Think about how you'd like to proceed with your day. Take a deep breath. Breathe it out again. This is the only moment. The reason they call it the present is because it is a gift. We get all stuck in future and past thoughts. NY, you're most welcome. I'll try and make a plan to look at the sun rising every day. And you're always welcome on board. It's important just to make a conscious decision. Dory, cue the Lion King music. Yeah, indeed. Very important to, when you sit in a moment like this, just reaffirm yourself in the minute. How are you going to proceed with your day? Don't get stuck in past things. Whatever's past is gone. Nothing can be done about it. Whatever's in the future, nothing can be done about it either. Very good. Well, we are going to move on from the sunrise. We've got some buffalo dung around Treehouse Dam here. I'm trying to figure out a direction. I think we're going to go around towards the west, see if they've come out that side, because we know what happens with buffalo, especially in these areas. Quite often we have a hungry pride of lions following them, and if not today, by tomorrow there will probably be a pride in and around the area. We know the lion prides here enjoy their buffalo. There we go. Thanks, Senzo. It was a nice little moment. Plenty beautiful screenshots coming through of the rising sun. Important. Senzo, we're ready to tackle this day. Yes. Yes, we are. Yes, new beginnings. Every day is a new beginning. Imagine what the animals are like out here. I think Taylor was saying, someone asked, do you think the animals sit and watch the sun set and enjoy it? And I think she said, well, the night is on its way and then the predators start licking their lips. So I don't know if they enjoy it, but I think every time the sun rises in the morning, they're like, yes, I survived another day. I survived another night. I don't think that Nyala thought the same thing. There's some very fresh rhinoceros poo in front of us there. And we have spoken, well, I've spoken at length about rhino middens. And the tracks you saw earlier, I said, were of a female, probably, and her calf. And what is characteristic here is the rhino midden itself is made by a male who comes and kicks. He kicks here and he advertises himself, and a female and a calf or subordinate male will do exactly this. They won't kick it open, they'll just drop it and quite often urinate at the same time. And as I said, the status signal, the male will come along and he'll smell the urine, maybe even the dung, and be like, okay, she's reproductive or not. So it's kind of her Facebook status, as you will, for the day. This is where I am, and he will be able to smell and be like, ooh, let me follow her. And then he will, because it's got quite a smell. Yes, it does. And there's one from a female, who would say, an adult, and then probably here from a sub-adult, a little bit smaller. But both of them communicating. And when I say subordinate males, it's a male that's moving through from another area. He might move through this male's territory, and to cross this line in this midden, he wants to go down to Treehouse Dam and have a drink. So he'll come along and he'll defecate like that. Be like, well, okay, I'm just going to defecate like a lady. I'm not going to behave territorial. If he goes and kicks it, he comes and defecates, and does exactly what the other male normally does, then he's basically advertising to the dominant male that he wants to box. Okay, and that is a very obvious sign of display. But James is with an animal that does some very more delicate signs of dominance.
It does indeed, but only when it's a bit older than this one. This is roughly, I'd say, 3 months older than the Nyala that Tundi killed yesterday. Now he's being very confiding with us. He's quite close to the car. I'm just going to try and roll forward, Seb. I just don't want to start the engine. Unfortunately, Jigger is so rusted. There we are. He's beautiful. Now he's eating Strychnos madagascarensis bushes. The fruit, of course, or the seeds of the fruit known to contain strychnine, a poison, but he doesn't appear to be affected by the leaves at all. And he's just warming himself a little bit in the recently risen sun as he has a little bit of breakfast. Now, while you look at him, I'll tell you that we do have Tundi's tracks, but that I will also tell you that they are not very fresh. I say that because there are civets and genets, and I think even a diker or two that have walked over the top of the track. So I think her Nyala was stolen pretty early on yesterday evening. Stately fellow, lost a cousin yesterday, unfortunately, to Tundi, and then the hyenas. Oh, right, Christina, very good question. The hyenas, of course, find their kills largely by smell, and Tundi did a very interesting thing yesterday. She started eating from behind, so round about the buttocks region. And I thought that there were two reasons for that. The first reason being that it's easy to get to that meat. The second reason being that she didn't want to go for the soft underbelly because opening it up obviously would make a smell. And I think it was when she opened it up late yesterday afternoon into the early evening, I think it was probably then that an industrious hyena waking up after a day of rest smelt the first hint of offal on the wind, if you like, and came in to find the kill. So it's because the smell of the insides of the abdominal cavity will be much stronger than the smell of meat in the hindquarters. Now, normally cheetah feed like that, and they do it for precisely that reason, to try and sort of not deter but defer the time that the scavengers will arrive. Cheetah almost always lose their kills to scavengers at some stage, and you know, the meat is rich there. It's good meat, but it's not as nutrient dense as some of the offal, as some of the organs, the heart, the liver, the kidneys, the spleen, that sort of thing. Even some of the stomach, the lining of the stomach will be filled with nutrients, although it sounds a bit disgusting. And so often, for example, lions will go into the belly as quickly as they can, and they'll try and get at those organs because they're so nutrient dense. It's often easier for them to get into the underbelly than it is to the other parts of the meat. But I thought it was very interesting that Thandi didn't bother to go for the belly last night until very late on, once the hindquarters were almost finished. Not the quarters, but certainly that little rumpy bit at the end. So the hyenas came in only once they smelt the abdominal cavity and the organs therein, the offal. Saskia, I really don't know, to be brutally honest with you. You say, how does a hyena's sense of smell compare with the shark's? I really don't know. I couldn't begin to answer the question. I don't know much about shark smell. I know it's sensitive. I don't know. Sorry about that. I suspect the sharks must be more sensitive because it's obviously got to smell through water, which is quite difficult. All righty, let's go across to Taylor before what she has flies away.
Look what we got. We have a ground scraper thrush, which is really so cool. There were a pair of them. I don't even know where it's gone now. But oh, there it is. I see it now. It's trying to avoid the starlings. The starlings seem to be quite bossy this morning. Now, the reason why there are lots and lots of birds around here is that Rexon has been preparing the fire breaks. So there's been a lot of chatter at the moment about burning and its importance, advantages, disadvantages, all these different types of things. But because Rexon has brought the tractor around here and he scraped open all this grass, it could be quite exciting. It brings a whole new area for these birds to sort of forage through. So they'll dig through all the grasses, the bundles of grasses. There might have been some insects that have gone in there to try and sort of seek shelter from, firstly, the cold weather. And then, of course, wait till we burn to see all the birds here. Now, I can't believe it. How is it that we drive around for hours and hours trying to find bird parties and no one will sit still? But here I stand on foot with a number of different bird species. So far, I have seen long-billed cromebecks. I've also seen buntings and starlings and hornbills. Let's take a few steps forward. Let's go a little bit further forward. Maybe we'll see some of the birds that are just sitting on the trees. We'll maybe stand. We can get a better view. They're just really small and a little bit too far away. So we're just on film. Have you got one? What's wrong? Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, you're right. What did you see? I'm pretending like I know where Herbie's talking about, but I don't know. What's that just landed up in that little tree? There's one little thing there. It's very hard to bird. Herbie, oh, it's a bunting. It looks like it. I'm going to go and gamble and say it's a cinnamon-breasted bunting. It's flown away now. Looked like a little bunting, I think. It was all fluffed up. It looked a bit bigger. Okay, one more thing that I've seen. Over the little hump in the distance, there's a francolin. It looks like a little crested francolin. No, it's not. It's a coqui francolin. Oh, that's a nice surprise. There I was just about to say, and that was the ground scraper thrush that flew across there again. I don't know if you saw it. But that, of course, is a Coqui Franklin, a very nice one to see. Who is it? It looks like the male. It's got a fairly orange head. Is it a Coqui or is it a Shelley's? No, I think it's a Coqui. Sorry, I'm so far away from it. Yeah, it does look like a Coqui. I shouldn't second guess myself. But we do get both species of birds around here. The Shelleys, the Coqui, the crested Franklins, and then the Spurfowls, the Natal, the Swainsons, all sorts of things here. So it's a pity that I'm not in a vehicle today, because this would have been a great spot to add a few more birds to the list. I don't know who else is flying around here, but I can see lots of them fluttering about in between the leaf litter, sort of just staying ahead of us, which is quite frustrating in a sense, because they won't let us get just a little bit closer. Now Herbie's pointing. Woodpecker. I think Herbie's seen a woodpecker somewhere. But I don't know. It's going to be hard to see with the... There's lots. I'm sure there's some waxbills flying around here too. There are a number of different bits of birds, but unfortunately they're all too far away from us to have a decent look. Let me see if I can spot anyone here. You can hear the hornbills calling, but of course they're not sitting right here. They're just there they are. They're sunning themselves on the marula tree. And this is nice. It makes it for a lot easier walking now. Walking on this. See what little things are lying here on the ground. There's not much, unfortunately. Bushhawks are getting harder and harder. There's pretty much only birds around now. Dry grass and plants that we have seen over and over. Anyways, it seems as though Steve has found another clue on the floor.
I've found some clues. This is the dung or the splatter marks of a cow pat in the form of a buffalo, and there you can see some tracks. There's the hoofed track of the Cape buffalo. There's not an enormous amount of them. It's possibly maybe a group of Duggar boys, and they're heading back sort of north away from Treehouse Dam itself. So I did a big loop, and let's see where they head. They're going to go towards Philemon's cut line, and then who knows where. So we're going to follow them this way. Buffalo in the morning, that would be nice. Some grumpy fellows, perhaps. Now, a buffalo herd is probably the easiest species on the planet to track as a group, because they leave an enormous amount of tracks behind, and also an enormous amount of compost in their wake. You can just see another splatter over there. And the tracks. Oh, look at what we found. We found something in the morning. Good morning, Herbie. We found the tracks. They're heading in this direction, eh? From the dam, yeah. I did. I just come from Shabamo. They came in from the west, and then they went to the dam, and they've come back this way. I've just turned around here, coming down Treehouse Dam Road. So we'll see. I think maybe they're cutting there. I haven't followed up. I think just there. I haven't followed up yet. Morning, morning. You've got them, eh? Okay, so maybe I'll go around onto Zoe's and then go around that way. What you guys going to do? There's Fergus. Hello, Fergus. Hello, Taylor. You go. Taylor says she's shy in front of the camera. Yeah. Are you guys warming up? Yeah, Keeza's got some really nice gloves on. They look like socks. It's got sock gloves. Okay, well, we're going to go onto Zoe's and see if they come out there. We'll see you guys. See you guys. Come, Senzo. There we go. There's the gloves. Oh, we think those are gloves. I'm not 100% sure. Everyone's voting socks. Taylor wants to know if he wears them as gloves first or socks first and then wears them as gloves second. Who knows? Who knows? I think Senzo's like me, top of the pile kind of guy. Whatever's on the top. Okay, so the tracks are kind of crossing the road here, heading in that direction, into sort of these drainage depressions of Philemon's Cutline and Rebecca's Zoe's Road, which is kind of there. So as Taylor rightfully said, this whole area has been sort of cleared for fire break purposes. It's quite a nice buffer between, if you just pan a little bit on the left there, Sens, you'll see on the left it's quite wide, and then on the right, so it's a big jump here. If any fire happened to come, it would be easy to manage it because it ideally wouldn't jump this big gap, and then this can be used as a safety sort of element. And up ahead you can actually see how easy the buffalo are to track, because there's a big pile of poo in the road. They leave their signals all along the way. If that is buffalo, I hope I've gotten it right. I think I have. Yeah. Unmistakable. But they are coming the other way. It's very interesting. They're actually coming this way, and they've turned back again. So maybe they're being chased by something. You can see their tracks, eh, Senzi? And that dung is actually not as fresh as the ones we just saw. You can see it's lost its steaming, moist element. But if I poked it with a stick, you would see that it's still a little bit wet inside. Oh, maybe not. Oh, it is still a bit. There we go. Very nice rumination. Beautifully chewed cud. And lots of moisture. Buffalo require a lot of moisture. They drink at least twice a day. So very water dependent animals. And this is heading that direction. Not as fresh as probably the animals that came in, went to Treehouse Dam and then came back again. So we're going to continue on our little meander around the block. See if maybe they've come out. But it's not an enormous amount. It's probably a group of Duggar boys. A little handful of boys doing their thing. Lying low from the lions. I would do the same thing. Oh, accelerator's a little bit cold. No, it is. It gets to like a point where you can't push it, and then it goes. I'm sorry about that, folks. It's not me trying to be fast and furious. It's just turbo rusty, indeed. Okay, well, what a beautiful day. The sun is well and truly rising behind us, which is lovely. Hello, Laura Moore. You want to know what buffalo poo smells like? Well, we've got an impala surveying his territory up ahead there, Sense. One on top of the termite mound. That's very interesting. What are you spotted? I'll tell you shortly what buffalo poo smells like once we figure out what this impala is looking at. You never see them on top of termite mounds like that. But his intention is pretty clear, isn't it? He spotted another male impala. Yeah, he is. Lou, well done. He is actually posing for an art class. The art classes are accumulating on Philemon's Cutline this morning. I did see that flyer on the wall. And the impala ram is posing. But you see his intention. His ears are forward, his eyes are forward. He's not at all bothered by anything but us, or by anything except whatever he's looking at. It could be some ladies, it could be a small duiker moving through the grass, it could be another impala ram. He's not alarm calling though. If he was certain of what it is, he would definitely shout if it was a predator. But they are very reliable, impala. Very, very reliable indicators. I doubt he's going to be looking at a buffalo, that's for sure. That's one thing he won't be looking at. Or, well, looking at so intently. Okay, well, we're going to follow up and see what exactly this impala is looking at. But let's see how James is getting along with those tracks.
Well, I have managed to find further tracks of Thandi coming towards Buffelshoek Dam, which is just up ahead here. I've just lost the tracks now on the road. They're not that fresh, so I'm just going to drive towards the waterhole and see what we can find. There are some elephant tracks, but no tracks of Tlalamba at all. And so she's either been stashed, well, I hope she's been stashed somewhere near where Thandi had the original kill. I hope no harm came to her as a result of the hyenas. I don't think there would have been any harm. You know, she's big enough and old enough to stay out the way of hyenas. Cobalt, I don't think there's any real difference. I think they probably do just as well as each other. The coursing predators tend to do slightly better, like the wild dogs in the winter, because they don't have to rely on the cover that the ambush predators do, like leopards and lions. And so cheetah and wild dog probably look forward to the more open vegetation of the winter time. Right, we're here at Buffelshoek Waterhole. Let us scan the surrounds. We've got the great entertainer over there. Morning. For those of you who are perhaps new viewers, that is Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve doesn't have a personality. I'm very unkind to poor old Scuba Steve. Thank you, Louise. Louise says Scuba James does, though. That's very kind. Oh, I'm just hearing Stephen is extremely excited. He's just announced on the radio, "We got a cat, we got a cat. Stations, we got a cat." So I've no doubt you'll head across to him fairly shortly to have a look. It's unbelievable. Okay, well, are we going across to him or shall we stay with Scuba? Let's go across to excited Steve.
Found somebody here. Don't know who it is, but that impala was indeed looking at a leopard. And from the back, this looks like Thandi, but I don't know. I really don't know from the back. I know some of you've got these beautiful spot patterns of the back of the leg. That impala was looking very intently in this direction. We decided to come in. Okay, she's looking. Let's go have a look. Who is it? Could it be Shadulu? I've never seen Thandi this far west. What are you saying, Sense? Do you think it could be? She's moving quite deliberately, whoever it is. Okay, I think she's spotted something up ahead, so we're just going to give her some space. Move up ahead here, maybe try and get a picture of her face. Tell me when you're happy, Sensi. Who is this? It looks like Thandi, but I'm not 100% sure from this side angle. It's not a young leopard, that's for sure. I know there's lots of leopard experts out there. Viewers, send through quickly. Who is this? There's the 5. No, is it not Tundi? Senzi? Yeah, it looks... I don't know. It doesn't have the same eyes to me. I think this is Shadulu. It's got the 5. But she's looking like she's aged a number of years. Got the 5 on the left. Not 100% sure. I haven't seen the right-hand side. Quickly, hashtag SafariLive. Let us know on the YouTube stream, who have we found in the African wilderness this morning? Taylor's saying if it's got suckle marks, it could be Sibuya. Now, I can't really tell. I mean, it's got the 5 on the left. Shadulu is being confirmed. Thank you, James Richard. She looks like she's aged, but there doesn't seem to be any injury to her jaw. A few people were talking about an injury. I haven't seen any of the photos. But wow, see how important it is to pay attention to your Impala muse in the morning. Okay, well, sorry, Eggsy, we have found another character for Saturday. And here she is. What is she spotted? That one Impala was looking at her and not shouting. The rest of the Impala were feeding, which made me think that it wasn't exactly anything going on. Doesn't seem to be any untoward injury to her face, but she is gorgeous, is she not? Oh, Laura Moore, well, that's what I've heard. I've heard the same, probably as you folks have. I haven't seen any photographic evidence, though. And on looking at her now, apart from her looking that as if she's maybe picked up a bit of mange or something, she looks okay. They are very resilient animals, leopards and lions. I've seen some ghastly injuries that have just disappeared, you know, on lions, that is. Oh, time to scent, Mark Shadulu. This is my spot, isn't it? There, she's rubbing her face. Sorry, Senzi. She was just doing a bit of a scraping on the floor. And now she's rubbing her face against... Oh, there we go. Ah, typical backward urine spray of the leopard. That is her tree. And that's why I didn't think it was Tundi, because we're quite far in the west. We're not far, really, from... She's moving east as we go, but we're not far from sort of our western boundary, which is that side. And it's kind of the sort of area that she seems to have been claiming. Are you ready for the popcorn smell sense? Fresh leopard urine has got a very smell... Oh, well, that's obviously... Oh, you've got to get a bit closer than that, and I'm not going to get off the vehicle to go and stick my nose in the urine. I do like the smell of leopard urine, though. Okay, we're going to try and just get around her here. Sens, I think going this way will get around her better, eh? We want to try get the other side of her face for you. You see what happens, Sens, when you come out with such good vibes in the morning, eh? It just all happens. Happens. All about good vibes out here. Anything can happen any day out in the African wilderness, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely anything can happen. Okay, well, we're going to try reposition Lou. Folks, we're going to try get in front of her and get a nice view. But in the meantime, let's go see how the bushwalk team's doing.
Well, there's a few things we need to chat about now this morning. First thing is that you're all concerned about my legs. Rangers don't get cold legs. I don't know. My legs don't get cold all the time. And then the second thing is I believe that you all have tan envy. Right? I think that's a real thing. You are jealous at the fact that my thighs are more tanned than the bottom of my legs. If I had to take my sock off right now, you would be blown away as to the spectacular sock tan I have. I've been working on this sock tan for the last 7 years. Like, I've really been trying hard. I've also got an amazing shirt tan. Not as proud as my sock tan, though. And then I used to, don't have it anymore, I used to have a sunglasses tan at one point in my guiding career too, but that has since faded away. I don't wear sunglasses often enough anymore. I also have a V-neck tan, which is quite nice. And when I used to wear long shirts, that was my particular favorite, where my hands were browner than the rest of my arm. It was pretty spectacular, let me just tell you. So you're all going to have to work very hard if you want to tan like mine. It's horrible. You can't go anywhere normal. You wear a dress. You hope that it's freezing so you can put a coat on to hide your 3 different coloured arm tan that you go along. But anyways, these are the things as we as guides have to deal with, all farmers and horse riders. They know the tan envy, the glove tan, the really white legs because they just wear jodhpurs and boots all the time. Horse riders, I think, have the most spectacular shirt tan. Romit, I think I did have a hat tan at 1.2. What shall we inspect? But now I have to take my hat off. Okay, wait. The mic is going to sound funny. I'm going to put my finger on it. Now my hair is also untidy. But is my forehead a different colour to the rest of my face? Perhaps. Maybe. I could. I would say I have a hat tan, Romit. Thank you very much for that. The one-eye tan, yes, Ferg wins the one-eye tan. That's quite nice, you know, he's looking down all the time. Luckily, you don't have to do that so much anymore. You've recovered. Actually, Ferg has said he has noticed that he's lost points with the ladies ever since he lost that one-eye tan. He said it really worked for him. Well, the pirate ladies on the coast, when you went into Cape Town, did you just go and dock? And then they would just... That sounds terrible. Anyways, so we're marching. The reason why we're just walking at the moment is we're just trying to get to sort of Treehouse Dam, and we'll have a little look around there and see what's about. Like I said, hasn't been too much around other than that wonderful bird party, which has now sort of left us. No, it's very quiet. And we're looking for insects. I don't know. Herbie is now on the ground. What you doing, Herbie? Anna-Marie, you're wondering why we haven't seen black-bellied bustard or southern ground hornbills. We've been hearing the southern ground hornbills. They are around. I see them every now and then. They've just been off-road or haven't been in particularly good spots or anything like that. The black-bellied bustards I haven't seen. I've seen a red-crested korhaan. I saw one the other day, and it ran so quickly into the grass and then sat down. We couldn't sort of see it anymore. Was this where... Oh, all sorts of things have been laying down here in the ground. Now... we've got to be careful around here. We really do. As soon as you start heading to a water point, now coming into the dry season, buffalo and rhino are going to be our biggest concerns. And they typically like to wallow around in the day, so it is always careful. It's always good to be careful when you're walking in an area like this to just keep an eye out. I'm going to walk on the animal pathway. So how crazy is this? Ferg is on the road that we've created. The animals have gone, that's the long way around. Why are you not going the most direct route? See how clever these animals are. I shall walk down the animal pathway. This is the route that Hukamuri normally walks on. Whenever he comes strolling down to meet me at Treehouse Dam, you know, when we do that magic trick when I say, I think we're going to see a leopard, and then sometimes we see a leopard. This is the road that he strolls along. He doesn't like to always walk here. And then there's another pathway he takes. He goes off the road and heads straight into the bush. But it doesn't look like there was much sort of moving around. I'm just looking at a couple of rhino tracks that are very typical to see around here. Some of them not so fresh, some of them from a couple of days ago. Actually, no, other than these little Janet tracks here, which are on top of the vehicle tracks from yesterday, there hasn't really been much else that's been running around here. I mean, you can see they're very, very faint. Tiny little, I don't know why I'm using a leaf to point to that. I mean, that's not a very good pointing device, is it? But there they are, just running in that direction, so going back the way that we came. Maybe stop to have a little drink at Treehouse Dam, perhaps at Janet Jackson's tracks. Her house is not too far from here. Could be her. Maybe she was on a date. I only see one set that perhaps her date stood her up. Not very nice. I've heard rumblings of Janet's not being very good at taking other Janets on dates. Now, what would be nice again is to see some spiders. I'd like to try and, my goal this morning is going to be to try and find a jumping spider. So we'll see if we can try and find a jumping spider. I'll keep checking on the blades of grass and up on the trees. Maybe a lynx spider will show itself too. Anyways, while we start looking for things that have got 8 legs, it seems as though, well, Steve has managed to get another view of that one that has 4.
It is indeed Shadulu, and she's standing on a Shadulu. She's got such a beautiful face. It was difficult to tell until she looked directly at us. The eyes, she's got such beautiful eyes. But she seems to have aged a little bit. I mean, I don't know why I thought that initially. Just the fur on the back of the neck. The ears looked a little bit more damaged than last time I saw her. There's the 5 on the right, 5 on the left. Beautiful cat. And obviously the question goes is she injured on her jaw? I don't see anything. I mean, when she walked past us just now, she did do a little bit of a jaw flex, I suppose, which you don't normally see leopards doing. But there doesn't seem to be... Ah, there she is. Those are the eyes I'm talking about. But she doesn't seem to have any untoward injury. And then the second question on everyone's mind is she pregnant? Now, I'm not a vet. I don't really know how to tell unless you can physically see the mammary glands getting enlarged. And I couldn't really tell too much. She's definitely interested. She's moving as leopards do, getting nice elevation, scanning the savannah like Taylor was doing before. And I'm trying to keep up with her. She's moving quite deliberately. Thank you, Mr. Impala, for helping us to find this very elusive cat. It's been some time since we've seen her. I was just asking Senzo last night on Bushwalk, where has she been? Have you still got her scent? Ah, there she is. There's some very interesting little depressions here. We're going to have to keep our eyes on both her and on where we are going. I've still got her off to my right hand side. I did anyway. Senzo, I've still got her there. Let's get around this termite mound. It's starting to open up a little bit up here. Jonathan, you want to know if she's possibly mated with Tingana? It is possible. Yeah, I can see her there. Thanks, Sens. It is very possible, but I honestly have no idea. When a female leopard comes into estrus, I don't think she's too picky, really. As long as there's a strong territorial male around, she's pretty game. She's pretty game, but there's definitely reports of her mating with Hukumuri. Definitely reports. And she's doing her characteristic moving through the grass with her nose to the ground, which she so often does, looking for deka, possibly scrub hare. See, yeah, she's definitely hunting. Oh, has she found herself some dung there? Let me move forward a few cents. You got it? I'm not sure what she's got, but it's possibly some dung from the buffalo that we've been following. Oh, what have you spotted, Mama? Yeah, Zach, predators in general don't have any sort of form of breeding season. It's just when the time comes. That's how their populations are balanced that way. They don't really breed in conjunction with sort of the breeding animals around. It's just as the time comes and goes, which gives them sort of like a steady increase in population, not a population boom, as you see in impala and wildebeest. Leopards could be denning or breeding at any time, really. She's definitely smelling. What have you got there? Did you enjoy your little meal of whatever poo you ate there? She's going to walk right past the car now. Give us some amazing shots. Hello. There she is. You are so pretty. Yes, you are. There we go. That just made my day. Thank you, Shadulu. So we reckon she's about 4 years of age. Look at that. The hunter's poise. Look at the foot. She's like a bloodhound. Moving very quietly and deliberately. A red-crested korhaan exploded away from her a moment ago. She didn't know it was there. That would have been quite interesting to see her eating one of them. They're extremely camouflaged birds, so that's what she's doing. She's moving through the long grass, hoping to spook something, checking all the little sort of warrens or scrubs where there could be a scrub here. Or we go, a little bit of a scent mark on the way. A scrub hare or a franklin, possibly a korhaan even, or spook a duiker out of its hiding place. Okay, Sens, let's keep up with her, shall we? Okay, well, let's see if we can try and get back in front of her and maybe get some really up-close and personal shots.
We are trying to do the same, but unfortunately have not come up with anything remotely resembling a cat. We have found many cat footprints. We are now quite close to the Torchwood boundary, and I'm afraid the trail seems to have gone cold. Anyway, we have a leopard. I'm going to turn around here. We thought we had picked them up again, but I think there are older tracks than the ones we were following. Anyway, let us see what else we can find. We have got a leopard. If we happen to bump into Tandy, then that's marvellous. But there's no need for us to panic about finding Tandy. It would be very nice to know where Tlalamba was, though. Thankfully, the sun is now starting to warm us up, which is greatly delightful. No, I think this is her. Apparently I sound like Yoda. Yes, I think that Sebastian has found us the tracks again. Let's turn around and just go all the way back the other way. No, she's gone up and down here. Let me show you. Let me show you, everybody. I'll show you what we're looking at, and then I shall give you a little bit of a language lesson, which is quite funny. So, whenever you went tracking, or whenever you go tracking with some of the Shangaan trackers here, there is no... Well, there's this... Let me start at the beginning. There's this language called Fanagalo. It's not really a language. It's an amalgamation of languages. English, Afrikaans, Zulu. There's a bit of Portuguese sometimes tossed in there. And it's called Fanagalo. And here you can see the track there, Seb? That is the female leopard track. But if you look over... Where would it be? Just trying to find one that's going the other way. Because here she seems to have done some kind of a turnaround. What the trackers used to say is, yes, lo ingwe, yenzalo up and down. In other words, she's doing up and down, because there doesn't seem to be a word for such in Zulu. So Ian's a lot up and down. She's doing this up and down thing. She has not continued along this way, though. So it's almost as if she's been walking along here, stopped, turned around and looked. There's a squirrel alarm calling in here. I wonder if she headed in there. Let's look over here on this little piece of ground. Don't see anything here. There is a very irritated squirrel in there. Anyway, we'll go and check that out. We can't just drive in there, though. There's also some go-away birds, and squirrels are notoriously poor at actually telling us. Then there's a track right under the car here going that way. Anyway, I think we'll just drive along this way for a while and then turn around and come back. In the meantime, let's go back to an actual leopard.
Yeah, well, if you can spot the leopard in the long grass, she's, we nearly lost her there, but she's lying down doing something again. Maybe she's found another pile of something to roll in. She is there, I promise you. We're not playing a game. Incredible how they can just drop down and be completely invisible. NYC, your question about whether they rub themselves in dung to mask the scent. Yes, it's definitely one of the ideas behind it. Lions and leopards will often roll in very smelly dung, buffalo, rhino, elephant, and we believe it's to mask the dung, to mask the smell, to take off that predator sort of scent that they carry around with them, that rotting meat carrion smell. So that's definitely the thought. But what we notice a lot as well is they also seem to eat dung, especially buffalo dung. And my thoughts are is that that's about gut enzymes, digestive system stuff. So they're lacking certain microflora that they want to get in. And there's an enormous amount of microorganisms in buffalo dung that they will ingest. And no doubt it does assist with certain bacterial breakdown. There she is. Look at that, eh? Bacterial breakdown. And she's definitely been munching away. Okay, my little buffalo dung snack, I'm assuming is buffalo dung. And off she goes. I'm going to keep up with her. Marshall, you want to know what the favorite prey of a leopard is, and really it's any small to medium-sized animal. Duiker, steenbok, impala, baby young nyalas, any young animal, warthogs. Just going to keep up with her. It could be anything like that. We saw Thandi killing a subadult male nyala yesterday, which is a little bit too big for her. She's just in front here, Sens. We need to try and find a way across. So that is the story, is they'll feed on... Yeah. Scatty Dung Poo, what a marvellous name you have. Your dog rolls in dung and then goes home and eats cat food, yeah. Well, cat food smells quite bad, I think. And it just seems to be a thing that they do. Okay, I'm just going to stop there because, hello, beautiful lady. So, just to answer the question about prey size, prey food, they will catch anything really. I mean, they probably eat a lot more scrub hares and franklins than we know about because you don't really find them with them. But obviously they like to tree some meat, so if they can catch a duiker or a young impala or a medium-sized impala, that lasts them longer. But they're not going to go, oh no, I don't want that, it's too small, or oh, I don't want that, it's way too big. We'll still try. There's about a 20% success rate in leopard kills on average. Obviously that changes with experience levels and terrain, time of year, fitness of the animals, Obviously, they managed to successfully catch more baby animals. Like young impala are like the meal on the menu for all the predators here in the summertime. And Dacre supplement sort of the food all year round. There seems to be warthogs all year round, so there's not a real preference, although we do see hukumuri with a lot of pork, or with a lot of warthogs. You know, come to think of it, she does look a little bit glowing, her belly. I don't really know my honest opinion to tell you how a leopard's pregnant without looking at the mammary glands, but she's definitely moving and is hungry. But also she looks like she's got a little bit of a glow to her, a little bit of a twinkle in the eye. Chitty Chatty Meg, the mammary glands enlarge before the cubs are born. In most animals, the milk production starts, but you don't really see the suckle marks, obviously, until the cubs suckle. But they will start to develop and fill out. I think it happens in humans as well. You see a pregnant lady, she starts to change long before the birth of the child in preparation. So it's kind of something quite noticeable, I believe, in cats. But I'd have to see her lying down, because she's a young leopard. She's never had cubs before, so I think it would be quite noticeable. It would be quite noticeable if we got to see her. I'm not going to do anything here untoward. She's walking very nicely in the road, and we're just going to spend some time following her slowly behind and see what she gets up to. There we go. She gives us a cursory glance, like, okay, you can keep following. Beautiful. It's such a fluffy tail, Lou, indeed. So you can see she's using the road. Her intention seems to still be to the left. So when we track leopards, see how her intention, she's now just gone off to the left now. So that's the direction she's been going the whole time. And she's been walking the road. It facilitates a little bit more silent sort of movement, but that is where she wants to go. That's where the wind, in my opinion, I know cats like to use wind in their favor, because she can hunt with not just visuals, she can actually smell anything that might be lurking in the bushes. We're giving her lots of room, ladies and gentlemen. We're not staying too close when she's out here in the bush busy doing her little prowl. We're not going to go right up on top of her. Lots of space to just keep 30-40 meters away, and hopefully we'll see her spot something soon, and we can show you some action in the morning. It's been an action-packed week this week on SafariLive.
It has indeed. Look what we've got again. What a surprise. Never did I think we'd see giraffe on foot. Ha 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 ha. That's what we've been seeing lately, which is quite nice. You see them more on foot than we do in the cars. Again, I'm pretty sure it's the same group, because there's one giraffe that's very dark in colour, and then there should be two big males that are following the females around. I don't see the rest of them, but as we've been discussing, they could just be out and about in the thickets somewhere. This is nice that they're still here. Thank you, giraffe. Please feel free to hang around forever. That would be absolutely ideal. Now, they're very calm. They're just watching us as we've been moving around. I bet they've been listening to us talk all sorts of nonsense about water mongoose and Cape clawless otters and things like that. That is in the discussion this morning. Amongst ourselves, saying, why we haven't seen those creatures, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But it is nice to have these beautiful animals. I'd like to know where the rest of them are. Oh no. It seems as though the gremlins are fighting back this morning, so while we fix it, we go back to Steve Orville.
Well, I'm terribly sorry about the gremlins. Gremlins are all over the place. And there is a spotted cat behind the bush. She's still heading in the same general direction, but she's just stopped. Something has caused her to suddenly turn. Maybe she's smelt something. I'm not going to bother her too much by going any closer. We're going to keep our eye on her so we don't lose her, of course, but if she manages to ferret anything out from that little thicket, well, we'll be right here to catch it. I'm terribly sorry about the aerial got in shot there. Here she comes back again. So she's moving on smell. So if there was a scrub hare or a duiker that had been sort of lying down in that little thicket there, she probably picked up on the smell of it and was giving it an investigation. And leopards have learned that a lot of these animals like to stay very still to remain undetected. So if she moves into the little thicket where one might be lying and they suddenly bolt away, well, with her lightning speed, she'll be able to catch it. That is the idea anyway. She moves very deliberately, slowly. See how she's sniffing the air, looking at the same time. Absolutely beautiful with that long grass. So a mixture of grasses. I think there was a question the other day, what grasses do lions and leopards like to stalk in? See how she's going to check again? She had a smell coming from that bush. Well, any grass really. Grass is just kind of the element of the environment, and the grass is part of the habitat, and certain animals will be in these habitats. This is a very nice area for steenbok. Possibly just the transition with some duiker, and also a very, very popular area for impala, who seem to move through a lot of these transitional zones. Okay. Just heard an impala in the distance shouting there. They've spotted her from a very long way off. You probably can't even make that out on the mic. What a gorgeous cat. Come on, jump up on the log for us. See how she's even checking underneath the fallen tree. Is there something hiding in here? Very nice. Such a nice open area for us to be able to stay put and pan around as she moves. Now we're going to continue on. No doubt she's going to keep moving, seeing as she's been spotted now by some impala. There's no point sticking around. I can't even see the impala. It just goes to show how good their eyesight is. There she goes. Still keeping to the exact same line. Nick, yes they do. All predators that I know of have Jacobson organ in the roof of the mouth. A lot of animals do actually, and it's actually very obvious to see in cats, because when they test the urine they do this like phlegm and grimace, they call it, where they lift that front lip, and so obvious in cats because they expose those really large canines. And if you are unfamiliar with it, you'd think the animal was being aggressive towards you, but in fact they've just picked up a chemical smell in some urine and are trying to activate it to figure out what's going on in their brain. So it's important to understand the difference between a snarl and a phlegm and grimace. I think James was getting some snarls yesterday from Tundi. Okay, well, we're just going to wait here while she gets a little bit ahead of us. It's starting to get a little bit more thick. We might have to do a little bit more of a loop. The impala have lost sight of her. They've stopped calling. Maybe she's going to try loop around and try and flank them. She's on the move, Sens, isn't she? Okay, well, let's come through. There we go, she's going there. I'm going to have to do a nice loop around here. Okay, well, we're going to keep looping around, see if we can get a sight of her on the other side of the thicket, and I believe James has made his way back to the vehicle.
I have made my way back to the car. We didn't come up with anything at the squirrel, but what we think has happened here is that she has perhaps killed something in the block. So she was, we lost her tracks coming away from Buffelshoek Dam. Maybe she came through here. There are tracks on the road going this way. Maybe she's killed something around here and turned around and then gone back to see if she can't fetch the cub. That's going to be our best guess at this stage as to what's gone on. So what we'll do is we'll head around onto Central Road, which is the road the other side of this where we think she probably left the cub, and just see if we don't pick them up coming that way. We'll see what else we can see on the way as well. We did hear some elephants around. Maybe we'll be lucky with them. That would be nice. There's no sign of anything resembling a lion in this area, though. Keep going around here. There we are. Marvellous to have Shidulu back. And again, the great tales of woe and terror that are told every time an animal looks like it might be vaguely injured or have a slight limp or yawn without the same enthusiasm as normal, borne out of the resilience of the animals and our propensity to exaggerate what's wrong with them, borne out by the fact that Shidulu seems to be absolutely fine, which is wonderful. I was just remembering a time we had a lion cub of the Unkuhumas who was limping a little bit at a buffalo kill. Well, by the time the Wild Earth presenters had been through there, that cub had a broken hip, a severed spine around somewhere in the thoracic region, dislocated hip, smashed thigh, all sorts of dire injuries, and we'd almost had a funeral for the thing before we'd even left the sighting. Well, a day later it was bopping around with no problem at all. So I reiterate that none of us are veterinarians, and even a veterinarian out here would struggle to make a diagnosis without actually holding the animal and examining it. We're very quick to diagnose things. Well, as Louise says to me, but isn't every guide in the Sabi Sands a vet? Certainly you'd think so, from the number of diagnoses we're prepared to make. Yeah, I think that lion's got a virus, hey? It looks a little bit sick under the weather there. Maybe we should get it some interferon, see if that doesn't just boost its immune system a bit. That's the kind of thing you'll hear. We're very good at that. Very good. We're very bad at saying no. We're very bad at saying, no, I don't know. I really have no idea. Right, I'm going to drive a little... Ooh, hello. On the right-hand side, Sebastian, we've got a number of confiding little creatures. No. Hi, guys. Aren't they very sweet? Look at that. This is a dwarf mongoose, everybody. Good morning. Yes, two of you. Hello. How are you? I suppose the ability to move your head at that speed is necessary if you have to look out for predators from above and below and all over. This is very spectacular. No, Louise, I do not think that the rest of the world is in slow motion for them because they move so fast. I think they just move so fast because they need to avoid being chowed down upon by so many predators. But birds do the same, you know. Birds have those same sort of almost instantaneous movements. If you try and move your head like that, you'll discover that you have a headache fairly soon. Your brain rattling about in your skull. Now, although I've met very many small-brained human beings before, none of them have got a brain as small as the dwarf mongooses. Certainly as I know people with brains less effective than a dwarf mongoose, but not as small. And so maybe with a small brain like that, you can get away with moving your head so fast. Hello, Jen. You're a new viewer. Wonderful to have you with us. Thank you for asking us a question. Please continue to do so. You say, this is amazing. It is amazing. It's a great joy to be able to do this on a daily basis and enjoy these magnificent animals. Aren't they sweet? Matt, you said they always look shocked. I suppose they do. They certainly look like they're about to run away all the time, and that's because most of the time they are about to run away. They have to be about to run away, otherwise they'll be eaten. There are many birds that like to eat them. Bigger mongoose species would like to eat them. So they're in a constant state of danger, poor little things. I don't think I'd like to be a dwarf mongoose, but for the hours they keep. They keep very civilized hours. They don't get out of bed early, especially on a morning like today, when it's very cold to start off with. They will stay huddled up in bed and only come out when the sun is well in the sky, as it is now. So they'll probably spend the night in the mound that they're sitting on now, and they're only out because it's just starting to warm up, which is very pleasant indeed. Isn't that sweet? We have an award for question of the day from Justin. Justin, you say, what would I do if I woke up as a mongoose one day? I suppose it would depend very much on whether I had the same size brain as I do now, or if I had suddenly had the IQ of a mongoose, which I don't believe can be much more than, well, let's say 20 or so on the human scale. If it was mongoose-esque, I suppose I wouldn't worry too much. There'd be nothing to worry about. I just have to get on with life. But if I had my own brain, oof, it'd be terrifying. Emma Openshaw in the final control room says that she thinks they're capable of extremely intellectual conversations. Emma, I think you'll find you're wrong. But I don't know. Within their own circles, well, I wonder what an intellectual conversation in a dwarf mongoose circle sounds like. Wonder what it means. What would they talk about? What do you think they'd talk about, Sebastian? I think they'd talk about food.
Yeah. And how cold it is.
And how cold it is. Which is a bit like us, really. And Emma also thinks they talk about existential struggles with squirrels. Well, it's possible. I'm going to say it's unlikely, but it's possible. Dustin says Fight Club with the Hornbills. Possibly. You must understand that thing's brain is the size of a pea. Maybe the size of an almond, but it's not much bigger than that. which means its capacity for abstract thought must be compromised. Black cloud Miami, they're carnivorous, so they eat insects, and they'll scavenge a little bit if they can. They eat eggs, small children. I don't really mean that, they don't eat small children. Snakes, lizards, scorpions. But not fruits or nuts. They will eat mice, though. They can catch them. Look at, can you see that one? One of them's got ticks under his eyes. Were you on that one?
Yeah. Lots on the left
Lots on the on the left cheek. That its friends should be taking off for it. Maybe he's a kind of despised and rejected individual who the rest don't like very much. So they won't clean his ticks off for him. Which isn't very nice. Mongooses should always clean their ticks off each other. This is spectacular. I'm going to spend a little bit longer here. In the meantime, Taylor is still striding around, trying to keep her legs warm.
They're actually not so bad anymore. They're fairly warm now. We're still trying to find spiders. Now, we've been searching everywhere. And of course, when you are looking for spiders, the best thing to do is search for their webs. That's often the easiest thing to find, as they catch the light and sort of sparkle about. It's very pretty. However, I have yet to see a spider on any of the webs that we have seen. And this is a big network of webs here, whether it's one spider that's living here or a few. I'm not actually sure. I'm just going to keep looking around this tree. I wouldn't imagine it would be out just yet. Perhaps it's very well camouflaged, living in a crevice on this part of a sicklebush tree. What once was a sicklebush tree. Looks like it. I don't know where they all are. Like I said, I mean, they can't just be webs here. Webs, of course, will stay out for only a certain amount of time before eventually, you know, the wind will blow them about, or a dust storm will come through and destroy them, or a moth or something that's too big and strong to break through the web comes through and destroys it. I can't see any spiders. I'm going to keep just searching, though. This is the hardest thing. Hang on, here's something else. Here's another kind of a web, so not one that's all beautiful and you can see. But it looks like... Oh, hang on. We're actually... We're... Can you see it? Can you see it just there, the web? There is a spider in there. It's going to be very difficult to try and show it to you without destroying this. This is a magic quarry that it's sitting on at the moment, and it has, I suppose, used its web to string two of the leaves together. And then, let me see if I'm... Can you see the spider at all? Can you just see the web? Oh, you can just sort of see the web there. Now, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and turn it, and I think the best bet is to going to be look through that top gap over there. So I obviously don't want to disturb it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'm trying to turn it for you. Can you see it in there? If I do that, and then you look back inside of it. A very little sort of narrow gap to look through, but there is a spider. I think it might be a jumping spider of sorts, but it is so difficult to see. I mean, I even just struggled. I just saw some sort of black parts and I thought, well, that's a spider. Okay, it's very difficult, but I don't want to disturb it for too much longer. You just have one quick look as to what it could be. Yeah, I think it is a jumping spider in there. And then jumping spiders, of course, even though they actively hunt their prey, I'll Sorry, I'm now just listening to a question. So what I was going to say is that basically what jumping spiders will do is, even though they don't make a big web to actively hunt, they will, of course, still produce silk because they need to make an egg casing, which we've seen. They typically make their egg casing on grass like this, where they'll basically just bring together a whole lot of the seeds, the grass seeds, and then they'll sort of spin a little beautiful little purse, if you will, with just a slight opening, and then they lay the eggs inside of that, and then the female will also sit at the entrance and guard those eggs to make sure that nobody comes through and tries to eat them. Of course, there's nothing here. And then the other thing, of course, is to protect themselves from the harsh environmental conditions like cold, is that they need to make a shelter of some kind. So they'll do that. That's a very sort of basic sort of housing. I don't know how warm that's going to keep the spider, but at least it will try and prevent the cold wind chill. I mean, there's not much wind at all at the moment, but I'm sure it's a little bit on the cold side. And then the other really cool thing that jumping spiders do is they always have a sort of safety line, which is amazing. So they don't just leap from point A to point B. Well, it looks like they do, but if you look very, very carefully, there's a fine strand of silk, just in case. You know, maybe an object that they're moving on, perhaps they jump onto my arm and I move as it tries to leap. Then at least if it falls to the ground, it's not going to go splat. But, of course, it's got its little safety web that it can just climb all the way back up. So, very clever, those little creatures. I love them. They're my favorite of all the spiders, and I quite like the zebra jumping spider, the big black and white one. Are we going to find another one? Let's see. No. That's a bit of bird poop. Really difficult to try and find these kinds of things, but you've got to get very close and personal with all the leaves to try and see what's going on. There are lots of spiders that are using these quarry trees. I suppose they're one of the few trees that don't lose their leaves in winter, so it makes for a perfect... Oh, what's this? Another insect. That tiny little black thing. It looks like an ant. It walks like an ant. It must be an ant. Or is it a little midge? No, I think it's a... what? I don't know. Can you see wings when you look on the camera? No. It's so small. It's about the size of a pinhead, so it's going to be very difficult to sort of have a look at. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I thought I saw a little reflection. That's why I was asking. Maybe it's a... I don't know. No, it looks like an ant. I don't know if it does have little wings and things like that, but we do know that the princess, the alate, so that doesn't look very much like an alate at all. It can grow wings and then off they go. But I can't really see it. Like I said, it's so small. That would have been cool to look under the microscope for, especially on a cool morning like today. But I think it just might be warming up at the moment. It's sitting very still. It doesn't look like it's feeding. It doesn't look like it's doing any maintenance on its antenna or anything like that. So I think just catching some rays. Just trying to feel a little bit on the warm side after a very, very chilly evening. Okay, well, we'll keep searching for those jumping spiders. We'll eventually find one, hopefully, that will cooperate. James, however, has got some giraffe.
Yes, we've got a giraffe. This is a lady giraffe. She's not a very young giraffe, in the twilight of her years. A life well lived in the Greater Kruger National Park. Many calves produced. She is. You're absolutely right. Sebastian's saying she's doing a better job than Steve, Taylor and I at extracting nutrition from a Sisyphus bush. For those of you who don't know, we've had a Sisyphus eating competition where we have attempted to see who can eat the greatest number of Sisyphus leaves in 1 minute. And of course, that brings the challenge of not killing yourself on the thorns. I believe the other two, during their challenges, didn't eat them, they spat them out, which means I am the winner. Louise says she's looking forward to the knobthorn challenge. That's not going to happen because knobthorn leaves are inedible. Eggsy makes a very good point. He's also in the final control. Gosh, I mean, there's a full complement of comedians in the final control this morning. Eggsy says anything is edible at least once. He's he's absolutely correct, of course. Now, I say she's old because her skin condition is starting to fall off slightly. There we go, we've got those little filarial parasites. And then if we go down her back, she's got a sort of suppurating wound there. Well, it's a scar more than a suppurating wound. I just like to use the word suppurating from time to time. Like Louise likes to use the word gibbous from time to time. Apparently it's an astronomical term referring to the moon. And she's gone and spoiled it all by saying, it's not made up, it's legit. Which immediately makes it sound unlegit. Anyway, I would put her at roughly 15 years old. A little bit longer to go. I'm surprised she's completely alone. You would normally expect them to be at least in visual contact of some other females. Oh, absolutely. Love, hope, faith. You want to know if they're still endangered? They are. They are not in a good way, their population, and because they are not a sort of high-profile species like lions or cheetahs or wild dogs, people tend to overlook the fact that they are in great danger. I'm just going to see if I can find you quickly exactly what their numbers are and what their status is. I'm not sure they're so much endangered as they are vulnerable. Either way, it's not good. No, I don't have sufficient signal here. If you do want to find out, go to the IUCN Red List and search giraffe. Some of the species are obviously more vulnerable than others. I think the southern giraffe, which is this one here, is okay. Here we go. Let's see if we get lucky here. Zach, I think I probably do. From time to time they'll eat berries and fruit, but as I had a lengthy discussion about yesterday, I think it was yesterday morning, they don't have the digestive systems that can make use of berries or nuts. Their digestive systems the digestive system of the ruminant is exclusively designed for the fermentation of cellulose and whatever other nutrients there are in leaves or in plant matter. So I'm sure they do eat berries from time to time, but they certainly don't rely on them. And whether they'd select them or not, I'm not sure. A lot of herbivores do select marula fruits, for example, so yeah, let's say they would. Let's say they would. Right, I seem to be getting close here. Gemini, giraffe use their horns largely for fighting with each other. Females, I don't know what they use theirs for because they don't really fight with each other. But males use them to bash into each other. They use their necks, their heads, and their horns to a certain extent. Well, Giraffa camelolepardalis, which is the southern giraffe as far as I'm aware, unless this thing hasn't been updated, but I'm sure it must have been, is listed as vulnerable. So it goes like this. It goes not evaluated, data efficient. It goes then least concern, near threatened, vulnerable, and then endangered. So it is the step before endangered. And on that note, let us go back to a less endangered creature.
Thank you, James. We have managed to stay with her, and she's been scent marking. She flushed a scrub hare, but then doing exactly what we were discussing, but then the scrub hare ran off and then stood still, and she couldn't find it again. She's just walking through there. She's definitely on the prowl. She's been checking every little thicket and bush, every little area where it's possible for something. You get her through there, Sense? Anywhere where it's possible for something to secret themselves away. I would be sorry if there's any audio issues coming from my mic. Here she comes. And to come into the open. There's been a very small amount of animal species on this little walk. Emil, I'm sure prey would be able to smell the scent marking, but they don't look at the scent marking as anything. I mean, the scent marking is designed to stay there and be a sort of a signpost to others of the same species and to last a period of time. The scent stays for some time. It's not designed to be an immediate sort of attention seeker. That's why leopards call, but the smell of a leopard on the wind, that sort of carrion rotten meat smell, that is what animals are smelling and looking for out there. Like the giraffe James is with, they often walk into the wind, obviously so that they can pick up the smell of anything that might be in front of them. There's possibly another reason why a leopard likes to roll in dung, to cover that really bad smell. I've smelled leopards up close. You can actually, sometimes on a fresh track, you can actually, where someone's laid down, you can actually smell that animal. It does take a little bit of getting used to. You need to really get the city out of your nostrils. It does take some time. I haven't been to the city in 4 months. Sounds like there are raindrops falling on my head. I'm not sure what to do, Lou. I've moved it around a little bit. Okay. Sorry about any weird noises I might be making. How are we going to try let's get around her here in this beautiful open area. This is exactly where I think Ralph Kirsten had her a little while ago hunting. I was on leave. I tuned into one of those action broadcasts. Let's get a nice view of her in the open. Tell me when you're happy, Sense. Richard, she could pick up the scent of a prey animal and follow it for some time, but physically running and catching, I wouldn't say that they'd go more than 20 to 30 yards, really, unless she stalks 10, 15, 20, 30 yards before that last dash. Anything further than 20 meters or 20 yards is a bit much from an energy point of view, and that is the purpose of the camouflage. And you can't feel it, but the wind is coming straight across her. The impala spotted her in the distance. I can't even see the impala, but they spot her. Just low down in the grass like that. They know what they're looking for. And immediately she'll move away from an alarm call. Shouting in the distance, they go. Okay, time to scent mark, is it? After you've been spotted, why not spray some urine? No, she's not going to. She's heading directly towards Gallagher Pan, Gallagher watering hole. I think. Seems to be kind of an area that she likes to, her and Tundi seem to be frequenting quite a lot. It's that middle ground between the two felines. How special this is. I'm very happy we found Shadulu this morning. And I called her in on the radio, ladies and gentlemen. I called her in. No one is responding. So we've got her all to ourselves for the moment. More for us, indeed. There you go. Here she's crossing Zoe's road. So we're going to go around onto the power lines. There she's walking straight through there. Going to lose her in the thatching grass. But we get a sort of an idea of the direction she's moving. See how by jumping onto the road we can really pick up our speed. Main road, sense, yeah. Perch like that. Oh, there we go. Her namesake, Shadulu, the Shadulu female. On top of the Shadulu. Anna Marie, generally, before the cubs are born, the leopard starts looking for suitable den sites that she can obviously give birth in. That is, you know, just an area she's familiar with, an area she feels is safe, and then she can move that every week or 2 weeks, depending on her mood and what activity there is. She's moving beautifully through the thatching grass. Just a very fluid motion, isn't it? We're going to stay her out here. She's going to cross the power lines road coming up. Give us a little look-see. As she crosses the road, you see her come into the open. She becomes so much more obvious, and now she's going to walk across this little island between the two roads. And she's going to walk right across the road in front of us. Get ready for your screenshot. She's probably going to perch herself on something there. Oh, look at that. Oh, scent mark. Here we go. This is my tree. Yes. Yep. Do you see how she did that with her jaw there? I've seen her do that a couple times, kind of like that stretch a boxer does. You know, after he's been hit in the face, he just got to just work that jaw a little bit. So maybe there's a little bit of tension still. See, she's looking at us going, come on, aren't you following? Oh no, she's going to have a poo. Okay, well, very ladylike. In the middle of the road. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is some very fresh leopard scat. And we can stop at it and have a look at the size. Sorry, Sense, I've got to wait for you to zoom out there. The size, see, she keeps looking back and going, come on, this way. Oh, it's just a little, a little pinch. Fair bit of grass in there, it seems. Okay, well, that is very fresh leopard scat and female. It's not very big, but we're going to see if we can keep with her. She's now decided to go off road, and she's probably going to come out by Gallagher Road itself. Well, Taylor's found a cool and interesting bird.
We did have a pair of Cape turtle doves that came down to have a drink, but oh, sorry, Ferg was having some technical difficulties there, but he's managed to sort it all out. Now, we've decided to just sit at Chele Pad because there's not much else to do, and we're watching birds now. We've got a hammerkop, which is sitting beautifully on that dead tree. It was here trying to fish in a Chele Pan, but I don't know how lucky it's getting. It's very clever that it's hanging around here. Oh, look. Look who's just landed. There is a Birchall starling that is just coming down for a drink, Ferg. I think you might have a good view of it. We'll go back to the hammerkop. Now, literally, the three of us are just sitting very, very patient.
Right, everybody, here we find ourselves at Bivelshoek Dam. Sorry about that crashing away from the bushwalk. I'm not sure what happened to them or why we've crashed away from them. But here we are at Bivelshoek Dam, and we're with a whole lot of elephants. Hey? Does she mean bushwalk or us? Hello? Oh, she lost bushwalk and picture with audio. No, not bushwalk and picture with audio. Audio and picture with bushwalk. Anyway, here we are. Bivelshoek Dam. We've got picture, we have got sound, and we've got elephants. Now, a quite interesting interaction just took place where a very big and obviously pregnant cow chased that smaller group across the wall to where they are now, almost saying to them, "You stay away from me and mine. We don't want you anywhere near us." You can see them lifting their noses and smelling, and I don't think it's us that they're lifting their noses to. I think it's that angry cow. Now, I'm not in the best possible position to get you a view of the bigger herd, which is behind us, but I don't want to move, because I think I'll block off that group you're looking at by mistake, which I don't want to do. Yeah, I don't think they're smelling us. I think they're just trying to see if there's anything they can pick up, perhaps from the cow that chased them away. Doesn't want to be their friendy. Ekula, you say you love Ellies. Well, that's good news. I love Ellies too, Ekula. Now they're going to come a little bit closer to us. We've got enough space in front of us for them to get past, so I don't think they'll have an issue there. So I'm not going to move, is what I'm saying to you. I think we'll stay right where we are. But you can see her left front leg lifted, and that generally means that she's feeling a little bit uncomfortable, just fidgeting a bit. She's obviously the matriarch of that little group, and for some reason wants to be with the bigger group. Perhaps it's a bit of a split, where she's not particularly closely related to the bigger group, or to the matriarch of the bigger group, and that matriarch said, "Look, I've had enough of you lot tagging along, you must go and find your own way." And so it seems that is what they're going to have to do. Now that leg up is very distinctive. Josh, elephants have got excellent senses of smell and hearing, and not bad senses of sight. There are those who will tell you that an elephant doesn't see so well. I don't believe it myself. And my experience with elephants, especially on foot, leads me to believe that they see probably about as well as we do. Which in some cases not very well. And I imagine that there's variation, you know, same as there is with us. Some people have good eyes and some people have bad eyes. And of course, you know, whether an elephant is slightly myopic or not doesn't really have a huge bearing on its ability to survive, because they're protected by the herd, they're very big. It's not like they're going to blunder into a predator that's going to eat them. There's a youngster getting across behind us. And so my point behind that is that, rather like with human beings, the retention of bad eyesight, which is largely genetic as far as I'm aware, the retention of bad eyesight within the human population shows that we don't actually need our eyes to avoid dying. Whereas an impala, if it was born myopic and unable to see properly, well, it would very quickly die. And let's move up onto the wall here and see if we can get a slightly better view. Very interesting little social dynamic going on there. I'm going to drive straight up the side because there's an elephant there that I don't want to freak out. A young bull. There we go. He's eating what Taylor and I and the giraffe and Steve have been eating, the Sisyphus. Good morning, young man. You're very relaxed. Yes, James, we've been very lucky with the elephants of late, especially yesterday. Didn't you have an amazing sighting, Seb, at Chitwa? And Seb was just saying he wonders if it isn't part of the same herd, or the same herd. I'm glad we found these chaps. I'm just turning down the game drive radio, which is now exploding to life because somebody's found a sleeping lion on Buffelshoek. How on earth the skin, the eyes, the tongue, the palate, the trunk don't get torn to shreds by those thorns, I just don't understand. I know they have very thick skin, but still. Hello. These are my favourite kinds of elephants, young bulls like this. He's also got an itchy ear. He's also bored of being around the herd. Wants a bit of lone time. Quite entertained by having us near him. It really is very silent out here at the moment, this time of year. Although I can hear a sunbird calling. Other than that, it's very quiet. Yes, for the most part, Sweet History, I would agree with you. Elephants are very peaceful animals. Sometimes, however, they can be very unpeaceful and they can become utterly terrifying. And so you've always got to approach an elephant sighting with caution, especially in an area like this where almost always the elephants are relaxed, but you're going to come across the odd elephant who's had a bad experience, and you need to make sure that you do not get in that elephant's path and irritate it to the extent that it would chase you. Goodbye, old fellow. You have a fun day with the herd. Keep eating. I know it must seem like it's an endless task, which of course it is. Poor elephants have to eat so much, and I often think that the youngsters get very bored having to go about eating all the time. There's another squirrel alarm calling around here, just going to show pretty much how unreliable they are. We thought that perhaps the squirrel we'd seen earlier, or we'd heard earlier, had seen our leopard that we were tracking, but that was wishful thinking. That is the end of the elephants. They're heading off into the very thick bush. I didn't have any comeback yesterday when I was, or 2 days ago when I was on foot, and I pointed out those two lone Egyptian goose parents there, and I said that they were the worst parents at Juma again, and that nobody or everybody who had thumbed their noses at me when I said that before, well, I hope that you're all eating humble pie. There they are, no goslings, for the umpteenth time in a row.
Well, I believe we're going from no goslings to no gremlins.
We will see. I've just decided to just take a bit of a nap. It's really quite nice out here. I'm now baking in the sun. I can't even actually open my eyes. The sun is so nice on my face. Now, we have been sitting and watching a variety of birds. I should sit up now, hey. And we had the hammerkop here. We had African green pigeons. We've had no emerald spotted wood doves, but we've had some Burchell starlings, and they've all come to drink this putrid water. But now we were hoping that they were going to come back, but everyone has basically seemed to have left us now, so I suppose we should probably move on, hey? Let me just dust myself off. That was a great nap. Hey, Herbie? Doesn't that... Yeah, there they all are. Starlings are sort of coming back. But, that's what you can do. You can just sit yourself down at one spot and sit and wait for things to come to you. And a little watering hole like this, it's perfect for the birds. They do come and drink down here regularly. Now, Herbie and I were hoping to find some hammerkop tracks. But I don't know how lucky we're going to be. Cobalt, you said McSlacker strikes again. Yeah. I always slack whenever I get the opportunity to, and that was the perfect moment, especially because I got to lay down on some grass. It was like a comfy pillow. It was so great. Herbie's inspecting. Herbie, I don't see any. Lots of these little ones. What do we got, Herbie? What do you think? Franklin's running across here. Looks like there was an Egyptian goose at one point too that somehow made its way across all the mud. Do I be daring? Oh, I'll just go the long way around. There's no way. I was going to jump and I thought, nope. That will be disastrous. Absolutely disastrous. Oh, hang on, I might sink in the mud though. It looks quite hard, but some spots it isn't. To do the test like the leopard was doing yesterday with James. Don't put all your weight down, just a toe here and there. There are birds above us. Oh, this jackalberry's actually got lots of fruit on it. Look, there must be an African green pigeon up there because we did have a whole lot of jackalberries. Well, I thought some fell down to the ground, so someone is in there.
Okay, well, we've managed to still stay with Shadulu. She is up and down, and there she is. She's going to give us a walk past. She's in the road. Now you can get a proper look at her face and her jaw if there's anything untoward. Doesn't seem like it, does there? She's walking nicely in the road. Beautiful for a tracking exercise. And it's so interesting to be spending this amount of time with her because, I mean, they say leopards have a 20% sort of success rate, but that's when they find animals. You know, there's only been one scrub hare that she missed. So what's that sense? Okay, someone is calling me on the radio, but there are some landowners in the north that are chatting on it about a lion sighting up there, so it'll take some time for me to communicate with them. Very fresh leopard tracks here, folks. Very, very fresh. And these are indeed the tracks of the Shadulu female as she moves. This is an area we often find her tracks in. Stations update, Shadulu female mobile north on Gallagher Road, one station on lock. Okay, well, we're going to see if we can keep up with this female. She's moving in the road. We're probably not going to get in front of her again for a while, but that's okay. No doubt she's going to turn left or right as she finds the smell of something to eat.
Yeah, the elephants. We've just caught up with this herd of elephants. They're heading into some thick bush where I'm afraid we're not going to have any view. We'll just go a little bit further along because it does open out a little in front of us. Here we go. Yes, they're going to pop out in the open just through here. Grey ships floating through the bush sea. There we go. Little babies. And big ones. That's my head. Robert, my closest elephant encounter on foot, other than in a camp situation where there's been an elephant in the camp, took place not too long ago, actually. It was Herbert Wiem and we had an elephant bull, sort of, I guess roughly about 12 years old, and he wandered up to us. He just fed closer and closer and closer. We waited until he was within 10 meters of us. So that's less than 30 feet, or around about 32.5 feet or so. And in fact, at the end, he was probably half that distance away, just feeding. Just took no notice of us whatsoever. It was astounding because I've never experienced it before, or I had never experienced it before, and I haven't since. And normally elephants are not happy to see you on foot. They just don't like it. But this young bull was just fantastically confiding and had no trouble with being around us. I've got this amazing picture which I took. He waited there just feeding while I took my camera out and put the lens on and eventually took a photograph. And I've got a picture of Herbert and Wiem, and in the background this elephant, and it looks like the three of them have posed for this picture together. Except that the elephant's paying no attention to the camera whatsoever. It was really quite amazing. A lovely early summer sighting. It's warming up now, which is wonderful. And it's now that you start to appreciate the low-felt winter. Lovely, warm winter sun. And the sort of real peacefulness of the days, the silence of the days. Absolutely wonderful. That youngster just investigating whether or not he likes to eat sand. I suspect going to decide that not really. From time to time, of course, elephants do eat sand. Deciding he is, well, it tastes okay. Not quite as good as marula berries, but he's never seen a marula fruit, that elephant. No, he would have. He's more than a year old. He would have seen marula fruits. I imagine it must be an enormous delight for your first marula season as an elephant, but a deeply distressing time when they just stop. New viewer Jen, you're wondering what time it is in Africa. Well, it really depends where you are in Africa. Over here, where we operate on what's known as Central African time, it is probably about 20 past 8 in the morning. Is that right? No, it's not. It's probably about 9:15. 9:15 in the morning. In Kenya, where they operate on East African time, it'll be 9:45. On West African time, way across to the west, I imagine they're probably about 3 hours behind us. Maybe not quite that much. Yeah, probably 3 hours behind us in the far west of Africa. So it'll be 5:45 in the morning. So, I mean, Africa is massive. A vast continent that straddles the equator. So in some parts of Africa, it's summer. And obviously down where we are in the south, it's winter. But I think you can safely say that it's daytime throughout Africa. The earliest time probably being 5:45 in the morning, and the latest East African time 9:45. Ooh, what happened? Did you get a bit of a whiff of us? That is what's known as a very unhappy elephant stance. Head up, tail stuck out, slightly ridiculous look on the face. And I suspect what happened is there's a little gust of wind blew over the top of us and into him, and he suddenly smelt us. Now that doesn't mean that he wasn't aware of us before, but so often what happens is these animals associate the smell of humanity with threat, not so much the sight of us. This is a lovely sighting. Oh, sweet history? No, it's not. They don't eat sand for the same reason the cats eat grass. The cats eat grass to line their guts, help with a bit of fibre. Often hair from the animals they eat serves the same purpose. Elephants engage in what we call geophagia, in other words, eating of the earth, in order to, like you would take vitamins, basically. So there are rich patches of soil that have nutrients in them, like sodium, for example, phosphorus if they're very lucky, and they'll eat the soil in drought times because it helps them to get those vitamins and minerals into their bodies. How they know when to do it is something of a mystery. You can just hear off to the left-hand side of where I'm sitting a woodpecker pecking away. Just going to see if I can spot him while you watch that elephant's feet. I don't know if Shamsan, are you still watching? Shamsan, if you're watching, you asked about elephant bones yesterday evening, and you can see very nicely now. You zoom in on the foot again there, Seb. Shamsan asked if we get, or if an elephant has got ankles and knees and wrists like we do, basically how it works. Those joints over there, Shamsan, you can see very nicely, are the wrist joints on the front leg. They look like knees, but they aren't. They're the wrists. Now, it's quite late in the morning, of course, and that means that some people are getting a bit peckish.
We're starving. We're so hungry. Right. In my hand, I am holding the mighty fruit from the jackalberry. And this is thanks to Fergus and Herbert, because today I worked out that I'm not a very good gatherer, and I probably would have starved to death, but thankfully I don't have to go out and gather my own food. I can just go to a grocery store, because I tried 5 different times to throw a stick into the jackalberry tree. There were no animals, no birds and things like that, to try and dislodge some of the fruit. I failed every single time. Herbie picked up a branch, Ferg picked up a branch, they threw it once, and they got a number of berries that toppled down to the ground. Now I'm just going to show you this one. Look at that. So this one, you can see obviously broke on the way down. It's very, very hard. I'm squeezing with as much as sort of strength I have in my fingers, and you can see even when I try and stick my nails into it, it doesn't really want much. But the Some of the birds are still feasting on it. You'll still see the African green pigeons in particular, and also the go-away birds pecking away desperately at the jackalberry fruit to try and gobble it down. And isn't just nature just incredible with the way that it has provided a lovely, nutritious, sweet treat for all the animals during the harder times of the year. So it was the marula fruits, then it was the torchwoods, the trees, the fruit from the balanites trees, and then we had the brown ivories dropping their fruit, and the guaris as well, right through the sort of late summer. And now finally we've got some more of the jackalberries. But I can't imagine that this would taste very nice. So bitter, super, super, super bitter. Not particularly tasty at all. I wouldn't want to eat it. Captain Deltron, if you're asking about pizza because you also put pineapple on your pizza, then yes, we do get pizza at camp, and homemade pizza. So nothing store-bought, unfortunately, not wood oven prepared. In the Mara, we had an opportunity, though, to make some really cool pizzas, sort of in a proper pizza oven. Here we just use the normal oven, which is quite cool, but we roll our own bases, and Amanda normally prepares them for us, which are so super, super tasty. However, I wouldn't recommend jackalberry fruit on a pizza. Maybe, actually, because when it's quite sweet, it's nice. It could go with maybe some brie, some slithers of jackalberry fruit, perhaps. Rocket. Maybe it could work. See, the go-away birds are agreeing with that. It does actually. It's quite nice. It's a very sort of sweet-tasting fruit. But like I said, this is still very, very unripe. But this tree is going to be great, so I'm definitely going to come and visit it at some point. I will also have to practice my throwing skills, though, so that I am better equipped at aiming. I normally have a really good aim. Like, I'm pretty impressed with the way that I can throw things. Let me show you how hopeless I am. Now, this is how I wanted to climb up, and then I thought that's dangerous because it's quite a high, sort of steep tree, and there's not much to sort of hold on to. Okay, watch how pathetic I am. Maybe it will work now because you're all watching. Leaves. Not one fruit. But if Ferg throws one, the whole tree will drop every fruit that it is bearing at the moment. It's unbelievable. I don't know why I'm unable to dislodge the fruit. But anyways, I would starve out here. I'd have to just gather bird eggs and eat guari fruit and all those wonderful things. Anyways, I think we'll probably move on from the pan now because our birds have all left us. They don't want to be seen. So yeah, but quite nice. All the animals are going to have a sweet-tasting, nutritious snack in a little while. It'll probably take another 2 weeks or so before they are, well, a bit more yellow. They're yellow when they're ripe. Okie dokie. Somebody else that'll be appreciating eating the jackalberry fruit are the animals that James has.
Yes, they will. They will love a bit of jackalberry fruit. As would I. I would appreciate some jackalberry fruit also. But no, I must sit here and starve. It's always quite amusing to hear people say, "Oh, I'm starving," when they have absolutely no idea of what that really means. Danny, I think taste is an extremely important part of herbivore diet because I think it's how they discern whether or not something's going to be poisonous or nutritious for them. So tannin has a very bitter taste, and I think that they can taste that, and I'm sure they register the fact that it's not very good. So I think they probably have sensitivities for certain toxins, and I'm sure that's how they discern what they're eating, for certainly initially, before they learn to recognize trees and plants by other means, perhaps just by smell. But they certainly don't taste anything like we do. I mean, they don't have the ability to taste anything like we do. We have got a far greater number of taste buds on our tongues, I think, than any other animal. Is that true? Certainly more than any of the carnivores or any of the herbivores out here. So we pick up a much greater variety of different tastes. In other words, it really wouldn't help me to go and eat some guarri bush because, well, it would taste fairly disgusting to me, but whereas an elephant could probably get away with eating things that weren't very tasty to him, but they would certainly be able to tell if the plant they were eating was nutritious or not, and if it was toxic. Let me just sneak a little bit forward. That's a very pregnant female there. She seems to already have a youngster. I was just going to go past this herd, but they're both sides of the road and they're so relaxed. So I think we'll just spend a bit more time with them. This chap's got a runny tummy. He's now hiding behind his bush. It's quite funny. No, Sharon, thankfully I did not get any pineapple in my wrap yesterday. That would have been disgusting. Pineapple is not for wraps. Pineapple is for cocktails and tropical beaches, not for wraps in the bush. Do you like them in smoothies? Not bad in smoothies. Not too much, though. I loved pineapple as a child. I think that's just because it was so sweet. There's a young bull. I think it's the same young chap that we saw initially, trying to assert his independence a little bit until he feels nervous, and then he goes back to his mum's clutches. There you can hear the sounds of both the grey go-away bird and the pearl-spotted owl. And the reason I paused there was I wondered if the grey go-away bird was in fact alarming at the owl, because the owls are outlandishly were bold with their hunting strategies. I think even a grey go-away bird would be a bit big for them, but they certainly will take birds much larger than themselves. Let's see if we can get a view of him. See if he calls again. Thank you. I got 10 out of 10 for the call. Now, I used to be able to con these pearl-spotted owls into thinking that I, too, was a pearl-spotted owl. But often it doesn't actually work. Yes, perhaps, Louise. She says, maybe I've just cried wolf too many times. It's quite possible. Can you feel how the atmosphere has changed, how it's just turned to this gorgeous mid-morning winter feeling of kind of serenity? And it's the kind of day when one would like to just find a little patch of sun, put your head down on your hands, and have a little snooze. Love, hope, faith. Most owls are nocturnal. The pearl-spotted owl is crepuscular, actually. It spends a lot of time active dusk and dawn, and is in fact, I've seen them very active and hunting during the day. But most owls, yes, are active at night. They are nocturnal. This fellow in front of us isn't our fellow with the runny tummy, as he said. This one here. There's a smaller one here. It's quite rebellious, though. You can see he's pierced his ear. His mother will not be pleased with that. It's not even a sort of round piercing. He's got 2 earrings. He's very rebellious. He can probably be found smoking behind the tuck shop at break time. Very naughty. Louise says we should check his toenails for black nail polish. I think that's a good idea. Well, could be some black nail polish there. I wonder if he wears Doc Martens. I don't know if people still do that. When I was at school, the what should we call them? The alternative few used to wear Doc Martens and pierce their ears and then put a little bit of nylon in order to try and con teachers, etc., that they didn't have a pierced ear. No, Louise, thankfully when I was at school there were no frosted tips to the top of the hair. That mercifully hadn't begun yet. I mean, wouldn't be surprising to find the tip of that elephant's tail with slightly frosted peroxided tip. No. Yes. His parents do well to watch out what he does on a Saturday evening. Unfortunately, bad news from central Djuma is the loss of the termite mound.
Well, we are still trying. We followed her for a very long time. And then eventually, after drainage line number 5, I think it was, we didn't manage to find a way through. We've been very lucky where she's been going. We've just managed to find these little dips and crevices that we can get through. But she's given us the slip. We're giving one more chance on Aubrey's Road. But let me show you where we've been. This is quite incredible. We found her over here. We found her there. And we followed her all the way through here. I don't know exactly how we did it or where exactly we came through. All the way along Gallagher, and now we've lost her here somewhere. So quite an interesting direction. She's kept sort of in a direct north the entire time. And that is the way the prevailing wind was going. And a very sort of characteristic area for her territory that we've seen. So while she's busy looking for some food, at the same time she's been marking. And we've had her a few times on this road. First time I had her, she actually was up in a tree just down the road here with a kill. I think it was a deka, up a marula tree back in April. So you never know. We did kind of lose her a few times today and then got around the drainage line and we found her on the other side. So maybe this will be another one of those. But it's quite tiring following a leopard. She didn't stop. She just did not stop. If she stopped, it was one of those looks and then go. Philly Jean, that's a very interesting question. And you want to know if they change their behavior when pregnant, they're hunting. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. I don't think there's too much change, really, in their behavior. Just the distance with which they go, I suppose. The need to come back and give milk. No, that's a very good question. Something I've never considered before. She probably would have to feed more because there's a little bit more demand on her body to produce milk. But I don't know, actually, if there's much of a change. But very interesting indeed how long we've managed to follow her. And I will tell you right now, it's quite tiring following a leopard constantly for 2 hours or so. 2 hours, 20 minutes, 2 hours and a half. I don't know how long that took, but very exciting. Nonetheless, she seems to have given us, well, we kind of left her, but given us the slip at the same time. Which one are we going to use there, Sens? Did we lose her? Did she lose us?
No, we kind of left
we left her.
So you can go.
We left her so we could go have a little break, drink a little bit of coffee. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Lou doesn't believe me. Anyway, that was fun. That was fun. Quite a nice game path just here. I'm just going to check. She cut through here. Wow, Ryan. I don't know. Ryan wants to know what's the estimated number of individual leopards in South Africa. More than 10, definitely. Guarantee you it's more than 10. No, I have not a clue. I mean, we have the potential to see 12 in our traverse. That's a relatively small area, so thousands. I couldn't tell you. I don't think anyone knows. Don't think anybody knows. Anyway, on we go. There's quite a busy pathway here to the right that goes through. The Voca males went through here. The big male lions, they went through here the other day. Very nice pathway for rhino. There's some rhino scraping there. And that goes straight towards Sydney's Dam in the west. Okay, well, Taylor seems to still be warming herself up so much that she's even looking now directly at the sun.
I feel like we need to cue bald eagle call. See, I don't know why, it's always in all the movies, wherever there's a desert, you get that eagle or hawk or something, you know, that... I don't know, you always get a sound. Anyways, we just had impala alarming. Let me quickly hear if I could still hear them. But like, alarming. Not at us. They mean business. They've seen themselves as a predator. They've just stopped, though. Herbie's on the radio calling James into the area. It sounds like whatever leopard it is, it could be around here on Vulture's Nest. So it makes sense. Let's go down this way, just because I don't think we'll get through there. It makes sense that it's probably going to be Thandi. Could be Tlalamba hanging around, too. Might not even be Thandi. They would still most certainly alarm at Tlalamba if they saw her. We just went an easier route than the one that Herbie took us through. It's because Ferg has got a big aerial. It's also going to be a bit tricky, but it's better. And whatever leopard it is, did the same thing to us the other day where we were in here and we had the impala alarming. We had a warthog bolt out. And then... you can still hear them. You won't be able to hear them. And then what else happened? Oh, then I raced around. I couldn't find anything. Herbie's telling us we need to go. So we shall carry on walking. We're not going to stop at anything here because we know that there's a leopard nearby somewhere. But it's important that we also now listen to what the bush is telling us. It's going to be quite difficult. Ferg, I don't know how you're going to navigate. Look at those obstacles that Ferg has got to get through. Look at them. Are you happy to go backwards over all these things? Yeah. That log almost got Ferg, and now look at this jungle gym thing that we've got to navigate through over here. Yeah. That is the only thing that I was going to hop over this morning. We're going to keep going and hopefully get closer to these shouting impala. Let's go and see if perhaps Shidulu has just arrived again in front of Steve.
No, she has not. Taylor show jumping, is she? Shidulu has not materialized again. But we're in the haunt of where we find her sometimes. I mean, she was in this big tree here at one stage, feeding on a nyala. There's still a little patch of skin hanging out of that tree, and she'd probably been up that tree for 3 days without anyone even seeing her. It's quite embarrassing actually, because we drive past this tree all the time. I'll never look at it the same again. There's still a bit of skin hanging down. We've seen a few times, a big brown ivory. And it's very difficult to see. If I go forward, Sense, I'll go forward a meter, and you'll see the patch of skin hanging there just on the left of that quarry. Can you see it? Just directly through these two bushes at the bottom there. Yeah. Go left, now up and left. Left, up, left, left, the big left, Senzo. Left is the other side of right. There we go. Now go down. There, middle of the frame. Middle of the frame. There we go, a little bit down. There, you can see it in the back. There's the remains of what was, we think, an impala that Shidulu had fed on up this tree, and that's all we found a few days afterwards, and still hanging there. So, you know, we drive this area quite often. This is the road to the gate, and a sandy patch is just up ahead of me, and Parlour Road is to the left of me, and this is an area that Shadulu really does like to frequent. And we don't know how many people drove past her sitting up in that tree, but that is what happens. You find a leopard in a tree once, and you'll never look at that tree again the same, even though you might never ever see an animal up there again. What's going on, Sense? So that is the brown ivory tree, which is known as Unkuhuma in the local language, which is where the Unkuhumas got their name from. The Unkuhumas are the Pride Alliance, and we are doing a little loop now around the western side. We're just passing Sandy Patch. We're going to go into Impala clearing, and who knows, no one's been this way this morning. Maybe the Unkuhumas themselves will materialize and just show up. Who knows? As I said, absolutely anything can happen out here in the wild. James is searching or following up on some alarm calls. Who could he be finding? Is it Thandi again? After his magical sighting with Thandi last night, killing a Nyala, young Nyala. Very, very interesting to behold. So, oopsie. So Taylor, the show jumping expert, is assisting James to relocate to whatever it is being shouted at there. I just marveled at how far we followed Shadulu, and only twice did we see antelope. So it just goes to show how sort of in those more sort of prominent riverine areas where James is now, we find more game in that area. And here we are, we finally found some impala up ahead, and they are looking very relaxed. And would you know it, ladies and gentlemen, this is called Impala Road. Wonder where they got that name from. Yes, Lou, it is called Impala Road. And funny enough, the road we call Nyala Road has also got a fair amount of Nyala on it. So very easily to identify these roads. If you ever get lost, just the first animal you find on the road, just say that's what it is. This is Shadulu Road, and people will be like, what are you talking about? And well, you're just trying to wing it, I suppose. Just trying to wing it. There are two little females on their own. Where's the rest of them? Ah, there they are. There they are. Not on their own, obviously. There's a very confused male who still thinks that the breeding is happening. Still herding them. Look at him. This way, ladies. This way. This way, please, ladies. You've lost a huge amount of your harem, sir. He's still trying very hard to keep his ladies together. I wonder if he realizes that it's been almost a month since the rutting season stopped. A little bit of a late bloomer. But we've got to take our hats off to the impalas, because it was that impala ram this morning that was posing so beautifully on the termite mound, or the Shadulu, should we say, that spotted Shadulu female, the termite mound female in the distance. And it just goes to show that it's not always alarm calls that give them away, and following up on the sort of eye line or the sight that these animals have is very, very important. Like last night when we went on bushwalk, we heard an impala calling, alarm calling, and we could see where it was looking, and that was how Herbie was able to direct James directly towards Thandi last night. There we go. You can see this guy's intention. He's trying to collect one more female to his group. Come on, this way, please. She wants to feed. So folks, I hope you've had a beautiful morning. Don't forget, we are live and interactive, and you can still send your questions and comments through. #SafariLive, or post them on the YouTube stream. Anyone got any comments about how Shadulu was looking? She was looking fabulous, I thought. She didn't lie down once, so we weren't able to look at her tummy to see if there's any changes there. But apparently it's been reported from the west that she was developing mammary glands, or they were getting a bit swollen, which is one of the signs of pregnancy. Sorry about the noise in the background. That is the main road, and it sounds like a truck. Justin, yes, we saw one young impala there, one of the males. It's hard to really see the females now, the young females, because they're very similar in size, but there was one young male there who had just the makings of some horns, and he would have, yes, most certainly been born in November of last year. Without a size comparison for this female, she looks like she's older than a season. You can just compare kind of to the size of that male in the picture as well. The 6-month, 7-month-old ones are still a little bit smaller, but it's amazing how quickly they grow. But it's much easier to see from the horn size in the males to see the age. Okay, Senzi, off we move here. Cat, well, not necessarily. You want to know if the impala scent marker? Not necessarily, but you do see impala rubbing their faces, the males, when they are trying to sort of demarcate their territory. First of all, they thrash the bush with their horns, and if you did not see Ralph Kirsten's rendition of that, you need to go back and have a watch at wherever that is. And they often rub the side of their faces. So there's a bit of a sort of a pre-orbital scenting there, but no urine spraying. But their middens as well are sort of a signpost. They'll defecate there, urinate there. The females will defecate and urinate there, and that's sort of a status area where everyone is updating each other's sort of level of reproductivity, so to speak. But not scent marking as per se, as we see the lions and leopards with their scratching and urine spraying. Okay, well, we're going to keep going on over here in the west, see if we can pick up on any other fresh signs, potentially, of the Unkelhuma pride.
Well, what we have here is a small mystery. Herbert called us into this area, says he heard some alarm calling. Now, if I was to guess as to where Tandi had left Shidulu, I would have said roundabout where the kudu were alarm calling. And so we're just having a quick squizzy around here. Last few minutes of our sunrise safari, we might be lucky with some leopard. That would be nice. Especially if they'd just walk out on the road. It would be even nicer. Just going to go a little bit further. It's round about there that I would have expected her to pop out. I'm going to wait here. There's some battaliers flying up ahead. We'll see if we can get a view of them. See them there, Seb. They're in there somewhere. There we go. A couple, a male and a female, probably the couple of Leadwood Road, to the south of where we are now. There we go. The squirrel alarm calling further forward. Should we go further forward? So are you struggling with these fellows?
Yeah,
Too much above us. Okay. I would be so deeply pleased if my predictions that she'd killed again and come to fetch Tlalambo were correct. I would be overwhelmed with a sense of self-enjoyment, if you like. But before I do that, Stephen has found yet more excitement.
Yes, well, it doesn't stop out here in the African wilderness, and we have found ourselves a very large male elephant. And he's just going about doing some feeding on some variable bush willow, trying to supplement the enormous bulk of food that a male elephant of this size needs to ingest on a daily basis. It's a non-stop feeding frenzy. Imagine going to the supermarket and just walking around the supermarket for 20 odd hours and just eating as you go. That is essentially what the elephant has to do. Just walk around and eat, and then every now and again have a bit of a nap and a drink. We can actually hear him feeding now if we want to just listen. Pair of fork-tailed drongos. He's busy munching on the bark, and what he's doing is, as he's feeding, he's breaking the bark off there. Little sticks of bark, little sticks of wood, should I say, and then sticking it in his mouth and turning it with his trunk, putting it in the right position, and then, oh, there we go, having a proper munch now. There's a couple of fork-tailed drongos that are fluttering around as he disturbs probably multitudes of insects in his feeding, and they benefit. He doesn't get affected in any way. And although the trees take an absolute hammering, they also have been adapted to elephants and to fire and to destruction. And let's see if he's going to break another big piece of wood there. See how delicate he is with his approach. There we go, and that's the piece I want. No? He's showing us his tricks. There we go. He's going to use his tusk. Is he? Sometimes they use their tusk to break the branches. Oh. So there's only so many animals that make that sort of noise when they walk through the bush, and one of them is elephants. The other one is a rhino, hence the collective name for a group of rhinos called a crash. Sometimes kudu will break branches, and sometimes baboons will break branches. So that's what you're always listening for when you're out in the wilderness. On my walk last night, people were saying, what happens if you surprise an elephant? Well, ideally you don't want to surprise him, so you want to hear him and know that he's there long before he knows you are. See if we can get around again. He's moving back down towards more of an open clearing. I love spending time with these big guys. They're very, very special. Okay, well, while we try and get back in front of this enormous elephant, let's go see if James has had any luck with his tracking.
No luck. We have got the impala that were initially alarm calling, though. What did you see, and where is it? I'm asking. That one's got blood on its neck. See that?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think something attacked it, maybe? Maybe Tlalamba. Attempting. Let's go a little further forward. We've got a lot of squirrels going. Not much time. Let me go quite quickly. Searching for tracks, searching for spots. There's the waterbuck. Maybe the waterbuck stabbed the impala. The squirrel is in this knobthorn tree just above us. But I mean, that squirrel could be seeing anything. Is it a bit further? The waterbuck looks deeply relaxed with life. We'll just have one more little squiz up top here. we had a number of kudu's over here. And I think they were the ones that Herbert originally heard. Here they are. Hello, kudu's. It's Zeus and his wives. Yes, you big fellow, you. Would you with all your girlfriends? The envy of the kudu world. Well, you'll be envious until the school fees start, my friend, and then you'll be very sad. Then your skiing trips are a thing of the past on account of the fact that you have to pay for school uniforms and cricket bats and that sort of thing. Then polygamy won't seem like such a good idea. Apparently, the trials of a modern kudu and the costs associated with his life are not nearly as exciting as an elephant bull.
No, not nearly as exciting as a 5-legged elephant. As he's just disappeared. There, let's see if we can get around him again. He is definitely the biggest elephant around. He is joined by a friend over there who's a little bit relaxed. He's busy feeding. There we go. He's going to feed on the African weeping wattle. Feeding on the bark. Lots of abdominal problems can be cured by feeding on the bark of the African weeping wattle. He's a little bit shy. Yeah, he's turned himself from us there. He's still looking at us. And in my honest opinion, elephants, when they drop their penis like that, are showing signs of submissive behavior. When we came around again, he started walking towards us. He'd obviously dropped it out and he was showing it. And you see that with elephants when they're being submissive. And this behavior that he's doing, turning his back to you, he can still look at you. This is exactly what elephants do when a bigger elephant approaches or when they're being submissive towards another elephant. They'll just turn away, kind of give that cold shoulder. And very often it is also joined by exactly what Senzo is about to show you. By that. Okay, well, have a look at that bark, Senz. Can you see how he stripped it? Look how clean the wood is there. He's ripped it all off with his teeth. Busy feeding on it. You see how he's left the entire branch itself is still covered in leaves. He hasn't gone for any leaves. That very nice feeding behavior of feeding on bark. Enormous amounts of medicinal value. Elephants know that. They're very smart animals. But he is a little bit shy for the camera, Senzo, don't you think? It's nice to be able to view an animal from the road, though, without having to do as much off-road driving as we've done this morning. It was very exciting following the Shidulu female for a very long time, although she did not stop once. Normally you at least get a moment with a leopard where it sits down and you can get some nice views of it. But from the Bushwalk team out with their antics as always, thank you to them for all the information they've brought forward. And to James Henry, no doubt he entertained you all with his antics, and it's been marvellous from us with Shidulu Female and his elephants. We'll be live again this afternoon. We'll see you then. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.